I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I'm here too. I'm trying out your background here, so
Yeah, it's working.
it's screwing up with my hairstyle, so I don't know if everybody's gonna be okay with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's mess. That's why I completely bald.
You went the easy route, no problem.
Feel free, make yourself at home. Okay?
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
You can share your screen and
Okay, all
voice
right.
your
So I
video.
can start.
Okay?
I can start now. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know if you
Please.
had just announced a break or if everything's good. All right, let me share my screen.
No, no, is everything okay?
Okay, and let's see if you guys can see my slide deck. Yes.
Yes, yes.
All right. So welcome everybody, and thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited to really speak to my beautiful audience here in Latin America. I'm going to talk to you today about leading through times of crisis. I'm very passionate about different topics, but one of them that's dear to my heart is really leadership and continuous improvement. And basically, how can we use data, measurement, continuous improvement to help us lead the right way. So I'm really going to talk about how do we pull all this together. So a little bit about my background. My name is Sally Elatta. I am originally from Sudan in Africa, in case some of you guys might be wondering, am I somewhere from, when I go on vacation, people start speaking to me in Spanish. And I never know how to answer because they all are like, I think you're from Chile, or I think you're from, I'm like, actually, no, I'm from Sudan in Africa. So you're gonna have to give me some lessons because I have to learn Spanish like in the next few years. This is my beautiful family. My background is I actually grew up as an engineer and an architect for several years. And then I fell in love with organizational transformation and started my company, which was called Agile Transformation here in the United States about 10 years ago. We recently really shifted our name into Agility Health because we believe that in order organizations to transform, Agile is one of the tools that you're gonna need, but it's not the only thing. And ultimately our objective is to achieve business agility and enable large organizations to actually succeed in the market. And so we should really stop falling in love with the tools that we bring to the table and really focus more on the outcome that we want, which is really business agility. That's my beautiful family right there on the left. You might also know us from agilevideos.com. We have over 200 videos, very short videos. And you guys have been great partners to us also on the EBA side, Enterprise Business Agility, and bringing that to Latin America. So leading in times of crisis, persistence and resilience. You're going to hear me talk today a lot about resilience, the concept of how do we withstand shock, right? How do we come back stronger? And persistence and resilience is only built in us when we are given an opportunity to solve very challenging problems together. And recently, I mean, I can even tell you as a leader myself, we've had to go through financial challenges, right? Look at how many companies around you right now have less income coming in and have to deal with cost reductions and layoffs, which that in turn also creates. Did somebody say something?
Sorry, Patrícia, o seu áudio entrou.
Okay, no worries. You can hear me okay?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, no problem. There are many organizations around the world right now that are also getting high demand and they have low capacity. So even though for some businesses, everything has just stopped and paused, for some other organizations, especially like in the healthcare industry, and even online, they've had an unbelievable demand. Like think about Zoom, the platform that we're using right now. I mean, they've had exponential growth. There's also a lot of fear, anxiety, and stress that's happening to people as they're going through all of this and watching it, because they might have lost jobs, they might have been laid off, they might be sick, they might know of somebody that's sick, and they might just be watching what's going on and really worried about their future. The other big thing, obviously, is remote and digital work is very real. All of us are working remotely and digital transformation is real. So what do you do? What is the new normal? I think this whole concept is what is the new normal? I really think that the new normal is going to be focused on building resilience and building agility. And I would say that resilience and agility will apply to both individual as a person, but also as organizations. So resilience is really the idea of being to recover and withstand shock. Any external shock that comes to you, how are we going to build that muscle memory so that we are truly resilient and can stand back up again, whether as individuals, you know, families, dealing with my kids that are working from home, that are, you know, learning from home today, sick, you know, different members of the family that might get sick, or organizations that just got disrupted, that just lost a lot of revenue, or that just increased exponentially. Agility is really about reacting and responding and pivoting, and that also builds your resilient muscle, which is, now that all this has happened to us, we got to stand up on our feet again, but what are we going to do to pivot and actually thrive in the market? And what I really liked about this image is it focuses resilience on 6 different areas, which is flexible planning. So you might have had a plan for 2020, but guess what? You're going to have to pause and you're going to have to think about replanning. How do we as an organization withstand shock to the system? How do we adapt quickly to change, which brings in agility? How do you still pursue your outcomes? And organizations really need to be business outcome oriented. How do you think about the risk now before it comes? How can you anticipate the risk? Because even this COVID thing that's going on right now, it's not just going to be out and done. It might actually stay for a while, and there might be ramifications that will stay longer. And how can you protect your weak spots? So I really want you to think about this concept of, how do I, as a leader, as a consultant, build resilience and agility into what we're about to do next as an organization. There are some statistics here, and I'm not going to go through all of them in detail, but I thought it's helpful to just understand what we're dealing with. We've got a 2.1 trillion loss in the retail space in 2020. There's 321 billion loss in the United States, which is 9% lower than the year before. Amazon sales have increased by 26% in Q1 compared to Q1 of 2019. So just as I'm giving you some of the news of things that are decreasing, there's some things, there are areas and markets that are increasing. 82% of large enterprises are cutting hiring budgets. What I like is this one: 82% of large enterprises are going to use new ways of working post-COVID. So please think about that. Like this, what they are all discovering right now, which is working remotely, working virtually, using agile methods, understanding business agility, you know, purchasing online, all of those things are going to be here to stay in the world after COVID. And so these are some of the things that you'll see: 82 new ways of working, 60% will adopt new processes, and 49% are going to change their marketing and their branding. 47% are going to change innovation, and 43% will change their marketing practices. Some of the predictions that we have is online buying patterns are going to change permanently, because what buyers are looking for right now is on demand. I need things quickly, I need them fast, and I need them to be simple, and I need them now. You're going to see a lot more work from home. I've already heard from a CIO this morning from Deloitte that said that we found that a lot of roles don't need to actually work from the office. And so we're going to probably decrease. This is really going to have an impact on commercial real estate because a lot of organizations might not come back to all of their buildings that they had before, and think about subleasing and think about which roles can continue to work remotely, virtually, which is really going to have an impact. There's a lot of fragility, which is how are we going to save money and really hold on to cash, because the world in front of us is very unpredictable. And this is kind of across the board, across all of the analysts, all of the experts that I've been reading and listening to, and even what we're seeing from our customers is doubling down on digital transformation. So organizations are realizing, thank God, technology did work, right? Our investment in digital, in moving to the cloud, in leveraging all these tools really is helping us, but now we're going to have to double down, because our customers are now going to expect more of that from us, you know, presenting products in digital ways. And of course, there's physical, emotional, and financial concerns in the future related to digital safety. So resilient leaders, and I really want you to think about kind of these 2 phases into what's going on right now. Phase number 1 that we're really just in right now still is responding and surviving. And so the worst thing a leader can do is just react. Reacting is to not think about what's going on, not to think about solutions, but immediately react and just cut people and lay off and do things. But we really have to pause and think about, how do we respond? How do we analyze what's going on to our business? And how do we make sure that we can survive? And then we're going to move to what we call recover and thrive. And so towards the end of this year, a lot of organizations are not going to be in respond and survive mode. They will be what am I going to do to recover as a business, achieve business agility, and actually come on top by the end of this journey. And resilient leaders are defined first by the qualities of who they are as a leader, and then by what they do, especially during times of crisis like this. So to respond and survive, I wanted to give you guys 5 practical things that you can do in the current state. Prioritize people's safety and make sure that your teams are still productive and actually delivering value. So continuous team and organizational productivity, that people are working online, they are productive. I spoke to one of our customers last week, the VP of HR, and she said that our CEO is so nervous right now because he was so used to having people come in the office, and he liked meeting them, he liked talking to them, he liked walking around, and he just does not trust that people working remotely right now are going to be productive. And I know many of us that are in technology know that we can be very productive, but for a lot of business operations teams that might have not been used to that, or even technology teams that were very much co-located, this is different. So prioritize people being safe, being able to do their job, and working still productively is extremely important. The second thing to respond and strive is reshape your strategy. You got to look at your 2020 goals and objectives, and you're going to have to change them. And I know everybody already knows this, but I think what's even more important is to look at reality and to look and be.
Oh, wow.
Then
Somebody's talking?
Sorry, Eric, your microphone is unmuted.
Accidentally probably
Thank you.
turned on.
Yeah, an accident.
Yeah, so evaluate all of the business outcomes that you had for 2020 and probably even for Q1 and Q2 of 2021, and really realign your teams towards them. It is not enough to just redefine a new priority. It is very important to use agile methods and re-engage the teams and do big room planning sessions that are virtual and realign all of your teams based on the new outcomes. We had to do that in our own company, and it's something, so don't just think about just sending out the document and just doing it at the leadership level. You need to do the realignment with the actual teams and make sure that they know what is the impact of their short-term deliverables. The other thing is really focusing on run the business. So a lot of organizations today are thinking about how do I keep the wheels running? And so a lot of the operational run the business is really now increasing in terms of its demand, but also keeping healthy cash reserves, whether as an individual or as an organization. And then finally, last but not least, really start doing contingency planning. Contingency planning means if this, then that. So if COVID and if the shutdown continues until the end of this year, and we continue to see a decrease in sales by 20%, what will we do? If this continues to move forward until Q1 and Q2 of next year, what are we going to do? If our demand continues to increase, there's a lot of organizations today that have created, I would say, temporary solutions. They've just kind of patched the system and figured out a way to scale very quickly something. You're going to also have to stabilize that as part of your contingency plan, because what if the high demand continues? Or what if the low revenue continues? How are you going to sustain this kind of a climate? Business agility. So I want to now take you away from the respond and responding and surviving into now we want to thrive, right? We want to actually recover and thrive, and that will take business agility. So business agility is the ability to adapt to change, learn and pivot, deliver at speed, and thrive in a competitive market. This is a definition that I worked with Evan Laybourne, who's the founder of the Business Agility Institute. Why is this important now? Because gone are the days where large companies can eat small. Today, fast companies are the ones that can eat the slow. And your ability to out-deliver and out-learn your competition is really your only sustainable advantage, competitive advantage. And this is a great report. If you guys haven't seen this report yet, please download it. It's the Business Agility Report from 2019, and we're working on the 2020 version right now. But it's a great thing to take to your leaders and your executives and say, this is no longer about agile for technology teams. This business agility transformation journey has to happen across the board. And these are some of the benefits that we are going to see if we begin now to move towards this. There's a great video on our website. I'm being conscious of time, so I'm not going to actually play it here because it's about 6 minutes. But if you're new to business agility, I really would encourage you to go to agilityhealthradar.com. I'm actually just going to take you there so you can see where to go. But when you go to the website, This video is more about Agility Health, the platform that we have. If you scroll down, this is what we call the business agility journey, but there's a really good why business agility video right over here. So please take a look at that and watch it. It's an explainer type video that you can even share with some of your executive teams. When you watch that video, you'll realize that in order for you to start moving towards business agility and enabling that, there will be 7 different areas you're going to have to invest in. The first one, and I would say the most important one, is customer seat at the table. How are you going to create such a deep understanding of who your customers are and what is it that they need from you, and deliver high impact solutions to the market faster than anybody else, faster than your competition? So being customer focused and having that seat at the table and really being hyper focused on what do customers need from us now and how do we deliver that quickly is critical to achieving business agility. The other 2 that almost go hand in hand will be lean portfolio management and organizational design. Lean portfolio management is around changing your planning process and your funding model. So moving from just yearly planning around our priorities into yearly and quarterly, and moving from just output-based planning, initiatives, deliverables, projects, and thinking about outcomes. What are the outcomes using OKRs? What are the outcomes that we're trying to achieve? And what are the related projects and initiatives that really accomplish these outcomes? And starting to align the entire organizations around business outcomes. We usually say about 3 to 5 per quarter, but really 3 per quarter is even more than enough, and a limited number. Outcomes are metrics and measures for success, as opposed to outputs are more deliverables. And we have become, I would say, fascinated as a community with outputs and deliverables and initiatives and epics and work that needs to get done. Organizational design, lean portfolio management is also about changing funding models. So moving from funding projects into really lean budgeting, lean financing, and funding based on the capacity and the outcomes that I'm trying to achieve. Organizational design and team design. We just had a very large organization reach out and basically say, we don't feel like we're aligned around outcomes. Our organization's designed from a technology perspective around software, tools, systems, but they're not really aligned to meet business needs. And even our business teams work in silos. And so we talk a lot now about designing virtual organizations that can work together. So I'm not necessarily talking about changing reporting structure, even though that might happen in the future. I'm talking about creating a virtual organization where technology, product, business teams are all aligned to business outcomes and actually working together, planning together, delivering together, regardless of who they report to, regardless of that hierarchy. The other 2 areas of investment that's critical is agile. I'm sure you guys all know about agile and using that as new ways of working across all of your teams, and really bringing agility practices to business and technology teams together, and then enhancing leadership agility. Leadership agility is leading the new ways of working, moving from that commanding and controlling and directive style to more enabling autonomy across your teams and energizing them. And last but not least will be your investment in technology agility, such as DevOps, and architecture and technical excellence, but also make it stick. Make it stick is the sustainability of your transformation. The way that we really coach talking about this in EBA is building internal change agents, having a measurement and continuous improvement model and a process, and then bringing HR to the table so that they can enable talent agility as well. To really begin to move towards business agility, something that I'm very passionate about is this concept of continuous improvement. We need to measure and grow at every level. And so how I like to talk to executives about this is think about, you have this team layer, you have the team of team layer, and you have the enterprise layer. We really want teams to measure and identify obstacles and identify where is it that they have issues and build team growth items. Any area where the teams are not able to resolve issues themselves, they tag them as organizational growth items. This is really where, and we just had this meeting today, managers, everybody says, what is the role of managers? Managers are that layer in the middle. Sometimes we call them the frozen middle or the forgotten middle, because we've spent so much time working with executives in the transformation and then helping teams transform. But what about the management layer? The role of managers in the future will be to lead and be part of continuous improvement leadership teams. Agile coaches, managers, DevOps coaches, product managers and product coaches, they have to remove obstacles at the organizational level and begin to form what we call CILTs, continuous improvement leadership teams at that layer. If these groups are also stuck, then they move the item and call it an enterprise growth item. And that is where we want senior leaders to remove obstacles as well. So my famous quote over here is, if you want teams to align and achieve outcomes, then you need to hear their voice and remove their obstacles from them. So really double down on continuous improvement. I was really happy to hear today from my team that one of our customers, which is Fannie Mae, which is a large organization here in the United States, their CIO has asked all of the teams that are working virtually right now to spend 4 hours every Tuesday in the afternoon and spend that time doubling down on continuous improvement. Identify where is it that they have gaps and actually invest in improving and removing obstacles, especially that all of them are now working remotely. So 10%, 4 hours is only 10% of their time. But think about, that's the level of dedication to continuous improvement and removing obstacles that have come out of their agility health assessments. I wanted to end with talking about what do employees need from their leaders? There was a Gallup survey that was done across thousands of leaders, and it's actually been going on for a while, and recently refreshed this survey. And what I loved about it is it really said that if leaders have a clear way forward, human beings are really resilient. Again, that word resiliency comes back again, which means that there's a rally effect. So as long as you as a leader say, look guys, here's what's going on, but here's our path forward, people and teams will automatically actually rally around and move things forward, especially in times of crisis. But what the survey and the results showed is that individuals and employees said they need trust. They want to make sure that leaders are open and honest in how they communicate with them and telling them they want to trust the leader. They want to not have you sugarcoat what's going on, because we're all adults here and we know what's really happening. So please be open and honest and transparent. Be compassionate, genuinely care, be a friend. And I know the word love, we don't use the word love enough, but I always talk about, one of my books one day is going to be about leading from a place of love. Actually letting people know we care about them and thinking about loving your employees. People always talk about, we want customers to love our product and we want customers to love working with us. But I think it's time we also say, but do you love your people? People that have been dedicated working for your organization, how do you show them love if you don't show them compassion? Can you reach out and speak to people individually and just ask them, how are they doing? It's not just all work oriented, right? So think about the human side of what's really going on right now. They want stability. So they want to know, is my job secure? Is it not secure? And you know what? You got to be pretty honest. You can say, you know what, it's secure for the next 3 months, but the next quarter, I can't tell you, right? I'm not really sure what decisions are going to happen at that time. You do need to show strength. You need to support them and give them clarity. A lot of what was reported is clarity in the direction. And then hope. Obviously, hope is about, inspiring confidence in the future. ambitions and our dreams and where we think we can take our company. Be real is be authentic with your people as a leader, and lead with love is always remember that we're dealing with human beings, and what's happening right now is a crisis that really affects all of us. So I hope this was enjoyable to you. I'm gonna just pause and take some questions. If you don't know our company, our name of our company is Agility Health. We have the world's leading platform for measurement continuous improvement, and we are partners here with Blika Agile. And these are some of the certifications that we offer. So we're excited for you to learn more.
Great, Sally. Great. It's what's amazing speak. I loved the way you brought this to the human level in the end of the presentation. That was very, very great. I would like to start asking you one question I did for Chris, one of the previous keynotes. How can we make, from your opinion, companies aware of what is happening right now is for real? A lot of companies are still thinking, well, we are living some kind of nightmare, but they are not really preparing. They are putting people on vacations or closing doors temporarily and not rethinking their business. How can we make them aware that what is happening is real and everything is going to change, or is changed already?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're doing here is awesome. I really think that, you know, having these kind of online conferences, educating, reaching out to leaders, letting them know, if leaders are just shutting down and having people go on vacation, that's called reacting, right? So the first step is we don't want to react. We want to respond and survive. And that's the number one problem is you'll see many leaders just in that reaction mode where they're just reacting because they're afraid. And I got to move them from that to respond and survive, right? You got to survive because you could go out of business. Like you do not underestimate what's happening over here. You could actually really go out of business. And then move them from that to what we call recover and thrive, which is really come on top. And I think it's just doing what you're doing right now. It's continuous education. It's all the consultants that are on this call, you know, taking this kind of a content and that message and bringing it to their leaders and really talking to them about, you got to lift yourself up from the fear factor, right? I know there's anxiety, I know there's fear, and I know there's so much stuff you got to deal with every single day. But if you as a leadership team don't pause to think about a plan and to think about how you're going to recover and how you're going to thrive, it's not going to happen. And this impact could be worse than we understand.
Great. And do you think it's, do you think it is time for us to grow, to think about growing, or is time to think just surviving? Do we have space to grow, to think of growing?
Yeah, Deloitte and many of the other consulting companies and Forrester and Gartner, all of them will tell you that right now we are still in the recover, respond and survive. We're kind of, that's why I kind of talk about them as two phases, is there's respond to what's going on and make sure that you survive and that your operations are healthy. Make sure that your cash is there. Because if you don't do that, you could go out of business. If you don't make sure that you're making the right decisions to survive from a cost perspective, from a cash flow, from all of that, you could be disrupted completely just from this epidemic. So I really think that we are still there. But if you ask me, if things go as expected, I hope to see that by end of Q3 and Q4, we should start coming up with strategies for how are we going to recover and thrive. So the strategy, the long-term strategy, what are we going to do there? But I've spoken to so many executives lately, and their mental space right now is still in the recover. They're still in the survival mode. I would say that by end of this year, you're going to see a lot more movement to thriving. I'm hearing a lot of executives talk about doubling down on digital transformation and doubling down on agility. And I think that we, you know, being always ahead of the market, we need to bring that message and say, you got to double down on this. If you become too tactical and if you spend too much time in that survival mode, you're going to be behind the market because your other competitors and other people are going to move to market faster.
Great. I have another one here. It's completely related with this you were talking about. Do you believe the agile practice we have, or the practice we know, will be enough to survive in this crisis?
Yeah, so whoever asked this is why I really wanted to show you the 7 pillars, because I don't think Agile alone is enough. Agile is really a great way of optimizing delivery. I think you now need to think about new organizational structures that are aligned to business outcomes, new methods for planning at the lean portfolio methods, new funding models, and we have to start impacting leadership, right? So while I know that we are all very agile evangelists and we feel like agile is the silver bullet for everything, but it really isn't. It's agile plus, right? So I really want you to think about things from an enterprise business agility perspective. Look at those 7 areas of investment and know that it's a holistic process, which is why we talk about we as change leaders need to help executives build a transformation strategy that achieves business agility, not agile. Agile is one of the 7 pillars.
Great, great answer. And one of the things we hear about thinking about business is the things we don't measure, we can't improve, right? So, do you believe if we measure things in this moment of crisis where people are completely afraid losing their jobs and everything else, and even their loved ones, uh, measuring things will help or not?
Oh, we now more than ever need data. So I would say, obviously, I'm passionate about measurement since that's our platform, but I will tell you the data that we're getting, we're doing a lot of baselines, and the baseline is across all of my teams. Give me a baseline on how they're doing. And it's anonymous. So that's kind of what's important, though, is the baseline data. You've seen the radars. Every person just shows up as a dot. That part's very important right now for psychological safety, because people are not going to be open and honest with you if they feel like you can get back to them and know who exactly said what. So I think the way that we gather data is so critical. And I'm very passionate about using our model, which is facilitated retrospectives. I do not believe that you should be sending surveys to people right now. If you send a whole bunch of surveys with a lot of different questions, no one's going to answer it. And they'll be in fear and they don't know your objective. So what we do differently is we do online sessions, we bring people together, and we facilitate the retrospective with them. We gather the data in the platform, we let them know that it's safe for them to gather this data, and then we roll up all the data and analyze it, and make sure that the names of the teams are actually hidden and anonymous. So definitely double down on data, because data is going to tell you where you should invest. And what executives have been telling me is that they're going to have to cut costs, and they're already cutting cost. So now they need to know, using data, where should they invest? Which teams need help? Which areas are broken? Which consultants, are really going to help me solve which problem? So double down on data and measurement, but do it the right way and make sure that psychological safety is part of it. And please don't just send them as surveys to people. People are tired of that.
Amazing, amazing. Sally, thank you for your time. We are short of time right now. I would like to extend this conversation. It's a very important topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Bye, everybody.